Welcome back, everybody, to the Gentleman's Bureau World News. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Jedediah Barnes. Together with me today, we have Lane Miller reporting from Denver, Colorado, and Mark Rowe reporting from Okinawa, Japan. Lane, as our resident military expert, can you give us a synopsis of the situation in Ukraine right now?
Yes, Jed. Well, as I've seen, the crisis in Ukraine has just been escalating ever since the invasion. We are calling it an invasion, and it is, in fact, an invasion. Um, as we speak, they are striking oil deposits. There doesn't seem to be an end and stop. It's very alarming, the situation on the ground right now. We have reports coming in of families being drug out of their homes. We have a lot of their military depleting, but there is hope because as we speak, Putin is struggling to take Ukraine. So there is hope. This is going to be interesting because this is probably the first, I call it a war, at least in the country for now, that we're seeing right in our faces on our phones. This is going to be interesting, the shock of the people through the use of social media apps such as TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, and any other app that will allow the footage to play. Because people are having unfettered access to this stuff. And Putin, as of right now, is threatening Finland and Sweden, telling them to watch out. They might be next. And I think at this point, everyone on the world stage is just rooting for Ukraine. Right now, Biden and the EU, they're trying to sanction and use all means necessary except for war, mainly looking like economic means. And we'll see. We'll see what happens from there.
Yes, Russian President Vladimir Putin was quoted saying that anybody who interferes with his operation in Ukraine would meet with consequences never before seen. I'm just getting word now that select Russian banks have been removed from the SWIFT global banking system. Lane, could you tell us a bit about what that means?
So SWIFT is the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. This is going to make a devastating blow towards Russia. So this move comes after all of the sanctions that we've been trying to put in place. This is going to hurt Russian trade and Russian companies as well. So the Russian companies are going to have difficulty doing business, international business. So the people are going to be very upset. There's already riots in Moscow. There's going to be more to come with this implementation of the SWIFT sanction, I'd call it. Let's see. So Russia won't be able to liquidate their assets as well with this move from their central bank. And we're getting word that there's going to be further meetings taking place Sunday with the EU foreign ministers discussing more sanction packages. And this is their final attempt, I think. This gives one more chance for Russia to back out. Even here at home, we're going to see economic impacts. As we all know, Biden, when he got into office, he had stopped the pipeline up north. And I'm on the ground here in Denver, and we're seeing surging gas prices. There's long lines at the gas pumps. People are trying to fill their tanks right before the surge escalates. This all coming after Biden 5 days ago halted the drilling in LA over the climate crisis. And it seems like this Green New Deal is looking very murky for us. It's not so green. So if anything, we need that northern pipeline right now, and we need energy independence. That's what I'm seeing right now from a financial standpoint. Russia's not going to be the only ones hurting. Don't think that we won't be hurting at home as well.
To speak on that as well, gas prices have also been climbing in Japan steadily over the past 2 months with the ongoing escalation of the Ukraine crisis. Gas prices right now sit at about $5.50 a gallon. They're expected to continue to climb. I, granted, am on an island that will increase prices as it is, but these are pretty scary price jumps. Experts are claiming that by the time Easter gets here, we're looking at $8 a gallon. It's a very, very hard hit on everybody's personal banks, personal checking accounts. Your wallet is going to suffer because of this, even if we don't directly have involvement with Russia or Ukraine. Just the sanctions alone are going to hurt everybody. Also, what may start to hurt everybody is other exports out of Ukraine and Russia. We're talking about the two largest producers of nickel, copper, and iron used in everyday products sent all around the world. And we're also talking about the breadbasket of Europe being under attack right now. 70% of Ukrainian land is dedicated to agricultural practice. Then, at the same time, they grow massive amounts of wheat. So does Russia. If we're cutting off Russia from their 20% of the world's wheat, and Ukraine is under attack, producing 10% of the world's wheat, we're losing a combined total of 30% of the world's total wheat. Food prices are also going to jump. We can see this already at our stores. Our supply lines have been hurt, damaged by everything that's been going on. And this is just going to continue with all these sanctions, all the things going on over in Europe. Okay.
We're receiving reports that 116,000 Ukrainians have already fled for their own safety. And experts predict that that number could reach 4 million if this crisis continues and escalates. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden of the United States, has offered to evacuate the officials of Ukraine, including Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who was quoted saying in response, "The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride." Which begs the question, why aren't we seeing more military support for Ukraine from its allies?
Yes, Jed, that's a good question indeed. Now, we do have NATO, which is a group made up of several countries, but we don't want to confuse NATO and Ukraine as one. So I think maybe that is why we're not seeing a huge effort for countries to help and aid Ukraine in this crisis. Maybe they are timid and scared to help out. I mean, with the new change in the administration in the U.S., we've gone from one leader on the spectrum to another. We've had a huge change in leadership in this country, and we've had a strong-headed former President Donald Trump, who was in office for 4 years, strong-headed, made sure that situations like this never happened. And now we have a president who, I think, not just in my opinion, but a lot throughout the country, he's timid, he's predictable, and they view him as weak. So we have here from the New York Post. They have an article that came out on the 22nd. I'm going to extrapolate a few things from there just to prove my point here. So we've seen a huge change in the way that these two leaders deal with arising conflicts. One example of this is when former President Trump noted that Russia seized land from Georgia under George W. Bush, and also noted that under Obama, Russia had seized the Crimean Peninsula. Those are two massive land grabs. Now, when President Trump was in, he made it very clear that there would be no land grabs whatsoever. From the New York Post, a meeting between President Putin and President Trump, if you move against Ukraine while I'm president, Trump is said to have told the Russian leader, I will hit Moscow. Putin reportedly scoffed, no way, leading Trump to say, all those beautiful golden turrets will be blown up. There's also a similar story. When Trump had met with Xi Jinping, he had also warned him about taking Taiwan for a land grab. And he said that he would bomb Beijing. Now, did they believe him? Who knows? Trump's very known for his exaggerative words, and he's known for being a madman. His supporters and his enemies have both called him that. So he's a character that is, I would describe, very unpredictable. And that makes him someone not to mess with. And I think we could use someone like that today in office.
So you believe that we are seeing this conflict now as opposed to 4 years ago because of that change in administration?
That's right, Jed. I think the people of our country and other countries, they don't see Joe Biden taking the steps that President Trump would. And this is why we're seeing what we're seeing. We're just seeing a lack of grit in our executive office, and we'll see how this plays out.
Very interesting. I wondered then if we would see a similar situation in Taiwan with President Xi Jinping also taking advantage of the weaker leadership in the American executive office. Mark, you're pretty close to that situation over there in Japan. Any thoughts?
Yes, the Japanese government has stated that they would defend Taiwan, along with contracts and treaties that Taiwan has signed with America, saying that America would come to their aid. Now, whenever they say they're coming to somebody's aid, we do not know how far that goes. We do not have those ties sealed up. We are coming to Ukraine's aid right now, as everybody knows, with sanctions, with providing them weapons, tools. But is that the extent that we are willing to go for Taiwan? I hope not. I hope we're willing to provide even more force for Taiwan, because they are a very big, major player in the world's economy. They provide about 80% of microchips to the rest of the world. And if we didn't have them, if China could control the microchips that are getting sent out to the rest of the world, or just save them for themselves, we are set back many, many years technologically. Our sciences, everything like that, are just our information gathering alone. But on top of that, because of the crisis in Ukraine, Japan is now brought into this crisis in Ukraine because a Japanese shipping vessel was shot and sunk in the Black Sea because they just got maybe a little bit too close. From what we see, they were minding their own business. They were delivering goods, and a Russian military vessel shot and destroyed a Japanese cargo ship. There's men working hard, everyday men, had nothing to do with Ukraine, not Ukrainian citizens, not in the midst of war, not even on Ukrainian soil, and they were taken out. That shows the lack of humility, the lack of caring or compassion that Vladimir Putin expects out of his soldiers right now. And it's really sad to say, because at the same time, we're worried about China coming after Taiwan. You know, our governments went through changes too here in Japan. Since the start of our pandemic, our COVID-19 sweeping through the world, we have went through 3 prime ministers. Granted, they are all part of the same political party. They're all working hard. They have the same mindset, same goals. They have vowed together, kind of working step by step to say that they're going to be there for Taiwan. Nothing set in stone like there is with America, but at the same time, they're taking more steps than they ever have before, and I think that's a good point for Japan. But let's reflect on the Taiwan situation really quick. So, Taiwan is the microchip, like I said earlier. Taiwan is a free and democratic country of Asia, where they do have a Chinese population that is high because they fled China. China did not recognize them until the 70s as they were part of China. They were their own country and they ignored them for the longest time. And now China claims that they're theirs, just like Vladimir Putin has claimed that Ukraine shouldn't be a country. China claims the same thing over Taiwan. Now, what does that say for us? Well, because of America's contracts, because Okinawa, Japan, is so close to Taiwan, it's a very scary situation. If you don't know, Okinawa, Japan, 35% of the island is made up of U.S. military bases. American Air Force, Marine, Naval, even Army, all here working hard every day of the week, keeping this part of the world safe with American forces. Well, China realizes that. And they realize they can't take Taiwan without hitting America hard in Japan. That is why they set up mock U.S. military bases and practice in mainland China, practice to take these military bases out with jets, with missiles, with soldiers, boots on the ground. They do that just the same as they practice to take Taiwan. Now, if they were to attack Japan, they were to attack America, at least American bases here in Japan, they'll have the full force of the Japanese military attacking them. They will also have American military attacking them. But what if our forces are split in between Europe and Asia? That's another thing we have to factor in. Right now, I hope and pray that we keep this conflict small, we keep it minimal, we help those who need help, because there is a day, we don't know when, China vows to take Taiwan. And I'm hoping that we have the full force of the Americans, the full force of the Japanese, and our allies in this region, being New Zealand, Australia, the Philippines, to really keep freedom.
Yeah, Mark, that is absolutely chilling. And I really hope that the bombing of those merchant vessels by Russia wasn't a coordinated effort to split Japan in a two-sided war with Russia and then China after they take Taiwan. We have received some numbers. It is confirmed that 198 Ukrainians have died as a result of this crisis and this attack from Russia in Ukraine. It is unclear whether those are only civilians or if they include or wholly contain the military deaths from this attack. We do know, however, that 3 of those fatalities were children. It is also confirmed that 1,115 Ukrainian citizens have been injured as a result of the bombings and other attacks by Russia, including 33 children. This is a truly terrible situation that we find ourselves in, and I'm sure that I'm not alone with hoping that we can find a peaceful resolution to this. Personally, I would like to see Russian troops pulled back out of Ukraine and let them be their own country again. However, I do not think that Vladimir Putin is ready to do that. I think that he still thinks he is on the right side of history. I think he believes that he will conquer Ukraine, and I don't think he expects any military action to come in the next couple weeks or months even from any of Ukraine's allies. I think we're going to continue to see humanitarian aid and possibly even some tougher sanctions put on to Russia. But I do not think we're going to see military action in the weeks to come. How about you guys? What would you like to see our respective countries do in the coming days?
Well, I'll take it away. As far as Japan goes, if you don't know, we only have a self-defense force. It's very limited in our military capabilities. But I would like to see our humanitarian aid. I'd like to see us sending medical equipment to Ukraine at minimum. If we cannot put people in Ukraine to help, like such as doctors and surgeons, to take care of Ukrainians. Right now, the Ukrainian people are suffering. They're overwhelmed at hospitals, but yet they're still taking in wounded Russian soldiers. That speaks a lot to their character, speaks a lot to who they are. And I think the whole world, hopefully Japan does this, everybody comes together at least to provide medical aid. That's what I'd like to see minimum right now.
Yeah, I second that, Mark. I would like to see these sanctions working and carrying out what they're intended to carry out, which is Putin coming to his realization that this isn't going to fly. This is not going to work. But it seems that he's not stopping. If anything, he's up in the ante, and we'll see what happens from here. But I think we would all like to see peace. And they say war is hell. And after the footage I've seen, the explicit footage, I endorse that statement 100%. And we just want to see peace.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we're all on the same page. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today at the Gentleman's Bureau World News. We will try to keep you as updated as possible as these events unfold. For now, though, stay safe.
Long live Ukraine.